Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another special episode of Whiskey Sour Libations and Conversations. There might be some drink in this coffee cup. And we have a special guest this week, as you guys
For sure.
know and are aware that I am highlighting that's all month of June, pretty much. So this is our
Right.
third installment, and we'll have maybe one or two more installments of the daddies. So everybody, welcome back to the show. Al
Man,
Doja.
for
What it
sure.
do, baby?
Thank you for having me. Yes, my brethren from our podcast, they will be on. Scheduling is just a little crazy, so we'll get it together though.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
get
get
it
it together. I felt like, the most important one was not most important, but I felt like that would give a different perspective. Would be sleepy,
together.
and I'm trying to coordinate with my brother because both of them are married,
Hmm.
and my brother is like a working actor, so they
Hmm.
had to relocate, and now he's on location somewhere in
Hmm.
Canada filming. So kind of what that looks like. How does he support his partner through
Oh,
through
what?
parenthood, because it's a lot. If my toe wasn't broken, I was supposed to go and help, but I might hit him up and tell him, I'm like, yo, you can
Your
book
your
that
toe
flight.
your toe's broken.
I broke my toe. Yeah. It's been a tough. You know how you feel like, okay, here's the crazy thing about all of this. It's not even, listen, don't laugh at me.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna laugh at you. I'm not gonna laugh. I'm laughing with you. I'm laughing with you.
I'm not laughing.
You smiled. I thought that meant you were gonna laugh. I
No.
apologize. Yeah.
Um, I don't know if anybody.
Just edit it out.
Stop
Talking.
moving. Stop moving the camera.
I
No,
apologize.
okay. Honestly,
Mm.
you done laughing at me?
I'm 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 focused. I'm professional right now. Okay, you got me in good work mode. I'm good
Okay.
professional. Not laughing.
Okay.
Not gonna laugh.
Honestly, truly, life has been lifing for the past like 6 to 8 weeks, and I am tired. I am very blessed to be here. Like, I'm
There
gonna
you
say
go.
that. But
Hmm.
baby, the curveballs that have been thrown at me, and then I had the nerve to accidentally mob out on the broke toe foot. So I'm having a hard time today.
It takes situations for you to realize. You know what? I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that.
I
How did
probably
you?
need to be
How
sitting
did
down.
you? Can I ask? Because if I can't, I won't. But how did you break it in the first place?
It's kind of embarrassing.
Okay, well, we ain't gonna worry about it then. We don't worry
It
about it.
was I was performing a sexual act. I'm gonna
Okay.
say that. I
Okay.
wasn't, but I feel like that sounds better if you say something like that, as
I'm trying to
opposed to
understand.
saying I really. Honestly, it was just a freak accident
Yeah.
that happened in my house. So and that's the honest guy. It was just a freak accident. So I'm
A
still
freak,
trying to
a
piece
freak,
them.
a freak sexual accident or a freak? Okay, I
No,
got
just a freak everyday accident. And I honestly thought I just sprained my toe.
you. Hmm.
Because you hit your toe, you trip over things, like what the fuck is there? And you look, it's nothing there.
Yeah.
Like, um, but when I put the sheet over my foot that night, it was so much pain. And so I was like, yeah, I think this is worse than a sprain. And so when
Yeah.
I went to urgent care that morning, like first thing in the morning, um, even the doctor, he said, I think it's probably just you just hit it some weird way. It's probably just a really bad sprain.
Hmm.
It's not really swollen. It's not
Hmm.
black or blue. Like that would indicate that it's broken. He came back in that room and said, well, you broke your toe.
That's not cool. That's not cool.
So luckily it wasn't my driving foot.
That's
Though
got to
sometimes
feel awkward. God, that's got to feel awkward.
though sometimes I wish it was just only because
Is it a whole cast over you? Like what?
well, I have a post op boot. A little,
Okay,
like, so
got you.
my I didn't have to get surgery.
All right, cool.
It was like a clean break. So
For sure.
I've just been nursing myself back to health. I've been working from home remotely for like the past few weeks, and so I'm gonna slowly start going in this week.
Dang.
For a few hours, I'm gonna talk to like HR about it. I'm like, I still need to keep my foot like elevated
Mhm.
and keep certain levels of pressure off. But so I'm gonna start doing that this week.
Is the healing process was it 3 6 months? 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah, like 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, give or
I
take,
feel
depending
somewhat
on.
over. Well, I mean,
It's
you can feel
delayed. It's delayed.
it's
It's
something.
definitely
Yeah,
delayed.
you can,
It's
wild girl winter. You feel me? Like, yes, you could just spin it.
right. I was like, damn, out all the time, and then like it just man, it kind of. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was very like isolated. It's been very isolating, especially that beginning stage, feeling very isolated because like I'm at home.
Um,
Everybody else is kind of out. I
you can't put any pressure on it at all.
I wasn't really putting pressure on it
Um,
because it was so painful. So then even
how
going
did
to
you
my
mob? How did you mob out? I see
yeah,
so many questions.
it was very like that weekend, that first weekend, like kind of realizing like damn, like my toe is broken. And then you think about like everyday random things that we do, like taking out
Thanks.
the trash.
Just putting on
I don't
socks.
have yeah, like putting on pants. You gotta be extra careful. Oh, make sure, like especially if it's like a legging or like a sweatpant that has like the elastic or something at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Any
You
little
gotta
thing, just.
you just gotta move slow.
And you mobbed out after. You
I
definitely.
mobbed out this past Sunday
You
and
definitely. You
I should
definitely.
not have done that. And considering that I ended up kind of walking a lot because we had tickets to go see Usher. And so
Mm.
I went to see Usher and that was a lot of walking. And
Where did the
it
mob
was
out
it,
happen with Usher though? Like, all my people mob out.
no, well, Usher, we
My
didn't mob out with.
friend.
Yeah, but I mobbed out. It's weird how. Okay, so you know how like okay, if you're right-handed and you have something like you favor that right side.
Mhm.
I'm right-handed, but still for some reason I favor my left.
For
Like
sure.
I open stuff with my left hand. I step out a lot of times like with my left foot
Mhm.
or whatever. So it's like really really weird. So
Oof.
when I went to mob out where normally I feel like out of sight, out of mind, like I probably would hit it with my right,
Mhm.
because then the left wouldn't even have to be out like down at
For sure.
all.
For sure.
That and I was like, what the hell am I doing? And then yeah. And not to mention that my foot was already kind of just like because of the boot
Hmm.
feeling like my hip hurts because like
Oh,
you
one
kind of
side.
like
Yeah.
so I'm like
Yeah.
trying to like wear
Yeah.
like get like a like my slide that I've
Ooh,
been
slides
wearing
on her
is
too.
kind of like similar height.
Yeah.
But if I wore my flat slide because they were dressier
Mhm.
to the concert, and it was like dog, I can't wait to get a massage.
So you do have a boot on right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
it's not like the big plastic boot. It's just the post op shoe.
I mean,
So
whatever
it has the
helps.
straps. It has like the elastic. Yeah, the Velcro straps across.
Dang.
So yeah,
So
it's
it's good.
okay.
Yeah,
We're halfway through. We're halfway through it.
That's right.
It seems to be healing. Okay, I
Mm.
don't know after the mob out situation, but I go and get
That's different.
another X-ray kind of toward the middle end of July, and that's when I go back to the doctor.
How girls, you gonna have, hey, listen, wild out winter or wild woman winter. Ooh, there we go.
No,
Yeah,
it's gonna listen. I
a
I'm
sultry,
gonna.
sultry spring.
Well, we still technically aren't we technically still in spring for like another couple days or like another day?
If you want to do, but you done
But
for the
like
season.
I mean, here's the thing. It has not really been a day over 80 something degrees in LA. That's not good. that means that summer is about to be when it hits, because our summer always really starts kind of end of July, August anyway. And then there's something about like Labor Day
Mm.
where things seem to hit triple digits and it just stays up from there.
Yeah, but I'm not feeling bad for y'all. Y'all got beaches. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
mm,
not feeling bad, but the thing is, it's like it's either it would be nice to have kind of like a cute summer where you just need your windows open and think it's still a lot of places in LA. I don't have central air,
okay.
heating and
Gotcha. Okay.
cooling, and a lot of places don't have it.
I would imagine that, yeah, not in LA, yeah. And then y'all got the fires too. It's California.
Because it gets super hot.
California different. That's it.
It's been getting hot.
What's the thing? Y'all supposed to have like some kind of earthquake or something. What's the conspiracy? Y'all happen to have this earthquake that's supposed to like make y'all like off into the ocean or something like that? Like, something like
That
that?
wouldn't happen in our lifetime, though. That's not supposed to happen no time soon. It wouldn't be in our lifetime or even the lifetime after us.
But you
Because
were
I
supposed
remember
to.
seeing that in oddly in elementary school in a like a geography book, like whatever
Mm,
those books are, like the formation. It shows like pre what do we call that?
earthquake?
Yeah, pre-continental divide. So
Okay.
when everything was one, and
Hmm.
then it shows what it is like as it shifted, and
Hmm.
then what it will be now, and then it showed in another like, but it showed that island situation. But honestly, that wouldn't be. I don't think that's going to happen in our lifetime. We just haven't had a big earthquake like the Northridge earthquake in a long time, and
Y'all
that was
got
like in the 90s.
fires though. Like how?
We got
Like
fires.
yeah, y'all got fires, right?
Yeah, we got fires. It
Yes.
was when
How does
somebody
that?
purposely. But here's the crazy thing.
Mm,
I think because they could talk about the loss that they take, but
mm,
I think I got a whole conspiracy even behind that. Because you would think by now, because as things get warm,
mm.
you would think that they would like at least in certain places where it's like prominent, like the Peaks and Valleys, is a spot up here off like the 210, and it's just valley, and it's
Mm.
really pretty when it's like green and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But that place, that's one of the spots because the peaks are high.
Well, how does
It
it? It just kept like literally, it just like a leaf catches fire because it's so hot, and it
Yeah,
just goes from there.
yep,
You would think that they would
essentially
have like something.
some of it is somebody's. I feel like some of them people are setting them.
Mm,
Um, there was one because it was two exits up. Actually, not even two. It was one exit up that was on fire, and it's this spot where you like take the two to merge onto the 134,
mm.
and that spot right there caught fire. But they figured out that that was arson.
And there's no cameras to like. You can't like. Yeah, that's a whole other
Somehow,
thing.
I think they were able to catch the people or the guy that did that, and it could have been something. And people to forget too, because it gets so dry. I will say it has been like so much more rainy,
Mm.
but because of that, and it's just dry. If you throw like a cigarette butt or a joint butt out the window and it's not out, it can do
That's
that. That's
crazy.
how crazy it is. Yeah.
That's crazy. You just mess around, finish up your little. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
How that work out? But I ain't throwing. Yeah, no, we ain't doing that. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? For those that do, they got a lot of. You know what I mean? Yeah. But that's just wild.
It's I mean, think about how you remember that gender reveal
Mm.
caused an explosion and it set all this wildfire, like wildlife on fire somewhere. Yeah, that was a that
I
was
agree
a
with that.
listen. It was a huge, or it didn't. I don't think. Oh, excuse me. I don't think that happened. Maybe it happened in California, but I don't remember where it was.
Mm.
But there was an explode, like it, whatever it was, it caught instead of it just like being maybe firework. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
The whole thing.
Hmm.
I guess it's California for you. You know what I'm saying?
That's people in general. I feel like by now there should be something because in place because so much time has passed. Like y'all don't have some sort of irrigation system that pulls
But you
like
gotta think, but you gotta, and this is getting to a whole other subject, but like you gotta think that there has to be a piping system that can
there.
allow what that like them hills is y'all like down here, and then the hills is like all the way up
Hmm.
here. That's a
Like
whole
it's,
that's,
I mean, it would cost a gajillion dollars, but I
yeah.
feel like but they will make it back up. The industry is here, like it's Hollywood.
Your rent would go from wherever your rent
I
is.
have rent control. I'd be all right
It's
for
figure
the
out
most part, but I'm barely surviving. But
your
God
gas
got me.
tank, your gas would be from like go from what 3 now to like 11. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Honestly, I'm kind of. I was kind of mad that because I drive a Rogue, and
Hmm.
so Nissan is coming out or came out with an electric car,
All of them,
SUV,
yeah.
and so I was like, I didn't get an email to come and test drive this car or anything
But
because
not.
I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
I was like, well, I got a 36-month loan on my
Hmm.
car, so I'm almost done. Like I got like $10,000 left to pay.
That's dope.
So
That's dope. Shout out to
I'm,
you.
I'm like, thank you God, because my note
Hmm.
was bigger because of that. But it's I was like, damn, I would have considered to not have to pay for gas.
I'm going to the wheels fall off. Listen, I don't. If somebody hit my last car, somebody hit my current car. People keep hitting my car. At this point, somebody else hits my car. Hey, me and now go be just walking. Hey, catch an Uber.
I'm
I'm done.
I'm
It's over.
tired.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
thanks.
So, and I would say probably now St. Louis is probably just as bad as how to drive in as it is out here
Oh, look.
because you get a lot of distracted drivers out
Yeah.
here.
Well,
Or
also
go
too,
ahead.
you can start to tell the you know how so we from St. Louis here, so you know where the science center is on 40, right? And
Hmm.
you know how sometimes it has that like the air quality or whatever. That mug been
Hmm.
red. That mug been red since my birthday. You feel me? My birthday is in May. It's been red since my birthday. Like because you can literally see when you're driving into the city, you can literally see the smog that covers up the riverfront area. When you look at it from a distance, it's bad. It's bad. So like,
Really? Because normally by now, because it rains, you guys get weather. It wouldn't be
like,
so
I
drastic,
mean,
but
there's no real rain season in St. Louis. You know what I'm saying? It's the Midwest. It'll snow tomorrow and hot today. Then there's no real rain season.
yeah.
Or like, I don't know, where you talk about, raining in July or something like that. Nah, April showers, none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just hot. In St. Louis, it just get hot. And then that humidity.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That humidity is something different.
Well, speaking of now, we got you here to talk about your journey into parenthood
For sure.
because at one point I believe you were married
Yeah, for sure.
and no longer are together. Mom lives
For
in
sure.
another state.
For sure.
So I want to kind of talk about that. Like we're highlighting dads telling different stories. And since you are co-parenting from another state and you
Hmm.
have full custody of your son,
Yeah.
um, let's talk about that. Like, what
Yeah.
does that look like? How often does he see his mom? Do you know how often you guys go? And what was that arrangement? Because, I was talking about last
Yeah.
week, we're so used to the mom taking, full custody of the kid. And,
Hmm.
and, and I think for boys, for the most part, at a certain point, there's a swap that sometimes happens
Hmm.
where they go and live with their dad
Hmm.
after a certain age. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that a little bit. Give us a little
Yeah.
bit of
So,
insight.
I was married for 5 years. And
Dang, I didn't know it was that long. That's a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Sort of. In this day
Well,
and
no,
age, that's a long time.
like,
5 years is a long time.
like, yeah, together for 10, married for
Okay.
5.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, as far as how it all came down that's a whole nother story for another day. But in regards to Niall, it just takes it back. So as far as custody goes, in the state of Texas, we did joint, but because of like, health insurance and who's he living with, where is he going to school at, stuff like that. That's where it was in my hey, well, he going with you, so it's like not 50-50. It's like 49-51. My math is probably trash, but whatever. So she lives in Dallas.
Okay.
Um, and he is with me. He's been with me since like 2 years old. The transition was, from my experience, because I only have one kid, challenging in a sense because you have to relearn a lot. I had to relearn a lot in
Hmm.
my situation because relearning how to be single again, right? Which is a
Yeah.
whole conversation for another day. Um, Ghetto. Anyways, uh, just yeah. But then also not relearning, learning how to um, parent a child, right? Because I came back to St. Louis because of the village that I had, and because of cousins and whatnot. But as I realized, everybody don't parent the same, right? And everybody don't discipline the same. So, um, me myself, knowing how I grew up and what I saw growing up, there were certain things that I didn't want him to go through and realize, right? So, parenting for me has been kind of on the go, learning, make mistakes, and as far as his mother, she's involved, but it's from a distance, right? So
Okay.
for me, having to learn to not have that, like, lack of better words, resentment, right? So let's say, for example, like now it's just bugging the fuck out. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I go, sir? Can I go, sir?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's say now it's
I'm
like,
like, you already said it now.
let's say now it's like bugging the fuck out, right? And of course, we set up a time where she'll call to want to talk to him. And if she calls and maybe she's like, kicking it or at some little spot, whatever, like, where's now? And I'm just like, he going crazy and you want to talk to now. But I'm just like, I'm not in the mode where, because we use a phone. So it's like, I'm not in the mode right now where I want to like allow that. Can we do a different time? So it takes a lot of communication, a lot of breathing. Thank God for therapy. Thank
Mm.
God for therapy. But having to understand that you don't say I didn't say I do to say I don't, but this is the cards that was dealt. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
deal with that on a personal level and diminish that so I can be present for when it's time to what I'm saying, be a parent
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
those conversations. But um, it's tough. Like I tell my friends all the time who have dual income or dual parents in the household, like that makes a difference. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we going off one check over here. You feel what I'm saying? So like that YMCA league, that school, that what I'm saying, tapping into the village when everybody's working, so it's not necessarily like I'm gonna call Dominique because Auntie Dominique she gonna have an extra 300 for me. Ain't how it work. Everybody is worn thin, so having to hey, have some humbleness. DoorDash. I didn't met plenty of folks like, yo, I seen your podcast. I didn't know you DoorDash. I said, I do everything, bro. Hey, listen, to turn this
Yeah.
dollar, gotta do what I gotta do. So
Right.
it presents its challenges, but at the same time, um, I've been impressed by how, to my own horn, I've been able to kind of be present in these moments versus like just going fucking crazy, crying. Sometimes it takes that, but still like standing up and just being present to you know show that vulnerability and past I don't know, past traumas can hurt, but they can also help build.
Yeah.
To answer the question, I didn't mean to go all
Oh,
left.
no, 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 no. I
Mm-hmm.
that's a excellent response to the question. So you said that you and your ex, you clearly have like the higher percentage, but how often does Niall
Yeah,
go to see her, and how?
yeah,
Because I mean, clearly it's not like you just put him on this flight or you
hmm
just drop him off and then turn around coming back. Like that
hmm
requires you to be in that city as well, which is
hmm
also daunting because it's an
yeah,
additional
yeah,
financial charge or
yeah,
burden
yeah.
that you have to accrue.
Yeah, we
So
so Communication, communication. But then for me, because it's not a knock, but I know who I'm dealing with, so I know I've always been like that to have a plan B. So knowing that we have a plan in place, and knowing that he's supposed to go to Dallas to see his mother, and plans fall through, it's about making sure that I have something ready to go. So normally, it's we set up like maybe over the summer, holidays, etc. She has family here, so when she comes in town, what I'm saying, we set up a time for him to go see her. But if plans fall through, because life be life,
Mhm.
you have to. Hey, oh man, this is some bullshit. I ain't got time for that, bro. I mean, have your feelings, but all right, cool. That's not the plan no more.
Yeah.
No shit. You now still looking at you like, okay, so what we doing now? Right. So let's,
Right.
what I'm saying, reform some things. So it's really about being present. Like I've had to really just learn to be quiet and be present versus the opposite, which is no, no, no. Let me just, what I'm saying, like
Yeah,
that
being
doesn't help you.
reactive.
Yeah, yeah, right. So keeping myself mellow. I attest that to therapy. I attest that to having a village of black women that have poured into me to be like, look, hey, you can be sad, you can be mad, but you need to get your ass up because it's still things to do, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's been a blessing for real, for real. So he does get to visit her when we have plans to do it, but sometimes plans change and you have to kind of maneuver around, what's available. So it's unfortunate, but it's the reality.
And she's much younger than you, right?
You going? Where you get so?
No, no, no,
No.
no. I,
So yeah, so
I was.
she.
I'm not trying to put your business out there,
No,
and you
no,
don't
no. I
have to answer.
understand.
And
No,
you
no, no.
know that,
No.
like, you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah. Facts,
answer.
facts, facts. Facts.
And
I
when
know.
I say much younger,
Listen,
guys,
listen.
I don't mean
I
like
know.
you.
I'm on Wendy Williams Jr. Right. This
No,
is this.
hold on. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
Well, no,
that.
I don't. You know what? Let me not
But
say that.
and I wanted to clarify for the listeners and viewers. I don't mean when I say she's younger, much younger.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't mean like
No.
she's 21 and Doja is 45. I
Yeah.
mean like she's like my age.
Yeah. No. So
And
so
yeah,
8 years younger. So I'm 41. So she is 32. Yeah,
yeah,
8 years younger.
yeah.
8 years younger. Yeah, how
Whatever
you?
that
Yeah,
is.
whatever. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah, 8 years younger. But you think about the past now, but in the moment, there's a lot of things that transpired that would be like, you know what? That's probably why it didn't work. And also too, I want to make sure that it's not just me saying, "Oh, I was perfect," because I'm sure if you
Yeah,
ask Now's mother, what was your thoughts on what happened? It'd be a whole nother story. Um,
exactly.
but that's also why I try to be careful in how I present myself and also present how I talk about, Now's mother, because one, St. Louis is small as hell. Uh,
Hmm.
two, um, it's the internet, so it's gonna follow anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then three, you don't want to put me. I don't say you. I'm say me. I don't want to put myself in a position where, I'm putting that kind of energy. It's good. It's good. All right. I'm in school. Sorry. I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm putting that kind of energy out in the air. Because the thing about words is, once words leave your mouth, like
Yeah,
they attach to whoever they're going to. They bullets, knives, whatever you
they
put.
are.
And
Shout out to
also,
Crystal from the Read because it's really that simple. Words mean things, and I think that we
yeah.
have been conditioned for so long. Like the
Hmm.
sticks and stones may make your bones, right? But words will never hurt you; they'll
I
bounce
definitely.
off, right? But that's not how
Mhm.
that goes,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of things that we're unlearning because you're trying to have this thick, tough skin.
Mhm.
But somebody say something out of pocket,
Yeah.
we understand how somebody,
Yeah.
got
But
knocked
then,
the hell
and
out.
then also too, like you said, you don't get to determine. Give me one sec.
Yep.
Yo, you good? All right. Sorry. So you don't get to determine what their reaction is. Like you don't get
Hmm.
to determine. Like if I just tee off on you and just go crazy, I don't get to determine and just say, "Oh, I didn't mean it that way." Oh, I apologize. Nah. You have to sit in what you shot out. So
Yeah.
knowing that, um, like I don't. I don't gain anything from tearing down Niall's mother, vice versa from her as well.
Right.
Because it would just get messy, and like
Yeah.
we've done that, right? We did that, like um, how things transpired. You know, you leave that for whoever wants to be on side Doja or side Nas mom. I ain't got time for that part. But what I will say is, when it comes to parenting, there's a real level of the individual who has to really tap into the traumas that he or she or however you identify experience, because you can't just you can't just think that it's gonna just happen overnight. Like people coming to you all the time, you make it look so easy. I'm like, bro, how? Like I don't know what you're seeing. Maybe you're seeing Instagram, and I always make the joke. I'm gonna start filming now when he bugging the fuck out, so y'all can be
You
like, look.
should, because some people. I mean, and I'm not. When I say you should, I mean it's like I think that the one thing that you and Sleep could talk about, like even on your podcast, y'all talk about a lot of different stuff. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
the highs and the lows. Like we know that we I think once people really realize how fake the internet is, and what I mean by
Yeah.
fake guys, I mean like everything is curated. So
Mm-hmm.
once people realize that we're putting up things where it's like that we only want y'all to see. And so people get mad when people post certain stuff about their kids
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. My kid did that. Now I don't believe in retaliating
Yeah.
when my kid does something wrong. I don't have kids,
Right.
guys, but you know, like when the kid cussed at school or cussed a teacher out or something, they
Mm-hmm.
they gave like the kid like a weird, like a old man haircut. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, so what did you think you solved by doing that? It's
Mm-hmm.
one thing to have a conversation, pull your kid aside and say, hey, so what's going on? And I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of parents nowadays are allowing their kids to be able to kind of express themselves more,
Mm-hmm.
where we really might not have had that opportunity
Yeah.
to have those, like, okay, so what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Because something happened to make you
Mm-hmm.
react like this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk through it.
Yeah, and I think that's the gift and the curse, because right, if I don't know how to interpret my own emotions, right? Let's say you're my daughter, right, and you wild out, whatever. How can I tell you to express how you felt to me if I don't even know how to interpret
Yeah,
my own demons, right? With Niall, like I make sure to emphasize the feelings wheel, right? Like he knows how to. It's crazy that he knows how well it knows that well, but he knows how to identify what he's feeling. He knows how to calm himself down. But at the same time, like that's not the same, I don't know, practice for a lot of people that he's
yeah,
involved in. All right, so like my my family members who watch him, because he's a boy and he's all over the place. They're, you too da da da, don't be doing that, you too big for that, da 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 da. And like it's been situations where Five will be like, I need to regulate my feelings real quick, Auntie. So you have to give me a second. My auntie like,
that's so cute though.
what?
That's so cute.
Boy, if y'all gonna say, he's like, I just have to regulate my feelings, and you know what I'm saying. That's what I taught him. In dealing with other people, I've taught him the ABCs. It's ask, boundaries, and consent. Like you have to ask, and someone can say no. You have to give person the boundary to say no, and you have to also give them consent to understand that if they said yes, and then they say no, you got to understand that ABC. He knows that, right?
Yeah,
And that's not because I'm trying to be this all dope dad, but it's just so much that because I understand as a black man, I'm raising a black man. These are the things that I wasn't told as a young man, so I
yeah,
can't tell you, oh, this is how you be a parent, or this is how you be a dad. Now I know how to be a dad for Niall.
yeah,
Like I always make sure I emphasize that, because I'd have to learn a new child. Like if a new child was brought to me, or if I have another kid, I have to learn that child, because that child could be totally different from Niall.
yeah.
Um,
Do
making
you
sure.
have siblings?
I have half siblings. Papa was Rolling Stone. Daddy's outside. Daddy's
Okay.
still outside.
Well, all right. Well, then never mind me. So that means that you didn't grow up in the same
No,
house.
only child. Yeah, no, I was
Yeah,
only
yeah,
child.
yeah. No,
Mm,
that's that. I like that you pointed that out. Like I had a friend on here before that has like multiple kids, and
mhm.
he also had siblings, but he was like, learning like each kid because each kid needs something different. Where
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of parents sometimes do this universal thing,
Mhm,
and it's like that does not apply here
mhm,
because
mhm.
of personalities.
Yeah,
Like
and
we
it's
all
yeah.
need, yeah,
Yeah, and it's a different mindset now. Like a lot of times so like even in schools, you're starting to find that there's a lot more catered to mental health and
hmm,
um, kind of talking through situations versus just hey, shut up and sit down. Because I think there's a real there's a real activity that anxiety exists not just with older people but with
hmm,
younger people as well, right?
yeah,
I know now his anxiety level is up and he starts doing this with his fingers. He'll be standing still and this will be going. And I'll be like, what's wrong, man? I'm just really thinking about that. Like, he'll just go into detail, right?
yeah,
But like there's something to be said about making sure that these young minds have a way to talk through or talk about what they're going through, because if not, you'll have endless just years of just like holding it in, and it'll come out
yeah,
dangerously, violently,
yeah,
as you see a lot with these young teens. I mean, total segue. Like right now in St. Louis, it's like I don't know what it is, but like hundreds of teenagers will show up downtown St. Louis just to walk around. What do we like? If you know St. Louis, you know St. Louis. There's not. I mean, there's stuff going on, but there's not stuff going on to the point that every Friday and Saturday night,
and not for a teenager,
yeah,
not for teenagers
right?
at all. Like that is
And
definitely.
they just walk around, and then there's fights and there's shootings, and then it's just endless. Just yeah. Anyways,
Well, you go back to a key point, which also was brought up last week as
hmm
well. When we talk about that concept of community
yeah,
and or lack thereof, and everybody trying to build some sort of community with their counterparts to
hmm
have people look out and show up. And so it's not that so those kids don't have that sort of outlet. Like think about, we're some of the few people that
hmm
know and understand that, right? And
hmm
I hate that in the most recent weeks I have agreed with Dr. Umar more than I have in my time. You know what I mean?
I gotta
When
watch some more because he be yeah. I heard he be going off the deep end.
he was he talks about that concept of community, or lack thereof, and why it's imperative that we have it.
You have
And
to.
so and when, because we can't thrive, especially as you have to think about, like, in the 1970s or whatever, when they start building like projects and all these things, and how we have this space of individualism as opposed to community, and that comes from like white supremacy and a capitalistic society.
There's real trauma bonds
Yeah,
involved
and
in it.
so
Yeah.
we and so like we really have no sense of community or
Mhm.
building legacy, or so now I think we're trying to undo a lot of the systemic things that have been put in place. But it's important, and like you said, I'm raising a young black boy,
Mhm.
and we know, because every year we have been the murder capital of the country,
Mhm.
though it's St. Louis is like the smallest city.
Mhm.
And so it's not fair, but because those numbers are skewed a little bit because of per
Mhm.
capita. But I would say that it's a lot on the line. It's
Mhm.
a lot on the
I
line when
mean, you
the
think about like,
arguments.
and I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine.
Like you think about it, like it's not a secret. Like Tamir Rice was 12 years old. Now it's 5 years old. So God forbid, and he loves dinosaurs. He loves guns. He loves the army, military, shoot, shoot, shoot. Right, but there's a real he likes taking his toys to the park. Like what's to say that he runs to the park because every time we go to the park he runs first. Oh, takes off, got his toy in his hand. What's to say like it's a black toy and there's a cop on the other side of the park don't really know what he got in his hand. I'm on the other side of the park about to walk up, but clearly to this cop, all he sees is this kid with a black
Mhm.
item in his hand. Put it down. Now it turns around, and there you go. It's a hashtag. Like there's real, there's real, there's a real sense of loss when you talk about things you can't control. But what I can control is making sure that he is emotionally and socially available, right, to situations that
Yeah.
are in front of him. But then also the village that I place him in, it has to be made up of individuals, not like-minded individuals, but for those that can challenge him and challenge me to be better, right?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
again, as you get more around parents who parent multiple kids, adopted kids, step kids, your kids, whatever kids, like you learn different things and then you see things like, yeah, I'm probably not going to incorporate that into my household, but that might work for you.
Right.
Because again, like that's the whole thing about positive parenting and making sure that you're pushing a lot of redirection, but that's hard when you have a parent who does not know how to articulate feelings, a parent who went through a trauma in having a child, a parent who low key, high key, postpartum is real in both. I feel like postpartum is real and definitely in women, way stronger than women. But I feel like men, um, I know me, have experienced emotions where it's like I don't know what that is, and only uh, licensed individual, therapist, OG, whatever you want to trust your words to, can help you articulate. Because if I'm going through something and Niall is bugging out and ain't nowhere to take him to, ain't no village member that can be present, like that's still on me, right? That's still on me to be
Right.
a parent in that moment. And I have to recognize what triggers are happening that I can show up for versus what I can't show up for, right? And that takes work. That takes real work of not just going to a therapist, not just journaling your emotions, but actually like going back and seeing what you wrote to see how you grew from it, to find out what triggers are there. Working with your therapist as far as through different exercises so that you can, know how to articulate through what you're going through. Like these are real things that I think us as individuals, black people, are starting to take hinge to, but it's just a process of learning like how it works for each individual, right? Like just like when you try to find a therapist, you go through like maybe 5 or 6 where you find one that really you can vibe with. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the main things why I came back to St. Louis after our divorce in Dallas, was because one, I know me. I know me. I could not be in the same city that I got divorced in and just that'd have been bad. Can't do that. Had to get away. And also, I know St. Louis is always home. The same schnooks that I grew up knowing where it was is gonna be the same schnooks that's gonna be right there, right? It's St. Louis is a city that is, I ain't gonna say slow, but it's just like it's comfortable. If you're from St. Louis, it's comfortable, and
Yeah.
from there building up, a village for him, but then also making sure that I'm able to kind of release things and kind of like, okay, I'm getting my mojo back, I'm getting my, I'm saying, swag back a little bit. Yeah, it had the benefit that way, but sometimes you got to make a hard stop and a hard pivot so that you can, move forward.
Yeah, to move forward and grow. And sometimes, in order for us to grow and become better versions of ourselves, sometimes we have to take that step back.
Mhm.
But I wanted to go back to what you were saying about, like, oh, I know that men also experience kind of post in a way like postpartum as well. But I mean, though you did not physically care, but because our lives have changed in the blink of an eye. Yeah, we had these 9 months to like kind of but we don't know until we in it. And so I think also in coming back home, it goes back to that support, because probably out of town, you know people there, you got friends, but it's
Exactly.
nothing like having your family. And I think that that's the big miscon conception really in America, because in other places, or as you talk to people from different cultures, it's like a whole thing. When people have kids, like the grandma, somebody's always there, where
Hmm.
it's like they working in shifts to make sure you are rest, because that's the key thing. We start to really go get delirious and crazy from
Hmm.
lack of rest, lack of, like nutrition. So
Hmm.
imagine like you could forget to eat, but then you got to feed this kid,
Yeah,
and so it's like
hmm.
so it's, and I tell people are so funny, or it's funny how people have certain thoughts when you say, okay, well, when I have a kid, I'm gonna have a night nurse, or somebody will be here that can help me for this extended period of time, at least for the first 6 to 8 weeks as I'm transitioning into parenthood, and that's how it's supposed to be, where it
Hmm.
should not be, burdensome for the person.
Hmm.
I know I'm trying to think if it was something I was reading about, like Summer Walker or somebody, but she had the first kid, but she was talking about how she, alone she felt, and how she was doing that on her own. You already got a deadbeat baby daddy, kind of,
Hmm.
where the second go round she was talking about all the higher help that she had, all these things that she put in place to make sure she was good. She's like, my kids go down at this hour, I'm not going to sleep, I'm still young, I want to go out. And so now she's figured out a way
Hmm.
to work, like, to balance it.
Hmm.
So I think that's what it comes back to, because we don't have to do stuff alone. Like, that is
Hmm.
why we have, family members that can, and great friends that
Hmm.
are able to show up for us. Like, I know my brother, like, for the most part, every kid that they've had, his parents, his
Every
mom,
kid they had.
every well, they have three.
Uh,
So, like, when Phoenix was born, his mom came in town.
Dope name, Phoenix. I like that.
She's so cute. Um, like, his mom and aunt came in town for like a couple weeks. Then,
Hmm.
like, her family came in town too, like my sister-in-law. So you got people, you all each time, each go
Hmm.
round, like, it has been, people
That's
around
dope.
to help, where it's not as stressful. And luckily, like, her kids like to sleep, they kids like to sleep in. So it's not like once they
Whew,
sleep trained,
blessing.
they are asleep.
Yeah, it's a blessing. Now I
Yeah.
wakes up at 5:30 every morning talking about what we doing today. That's his new thing. What are we doing today? I'm like,
Uh-uh.
man, let me just let's break it down. But I think like when it comes to being a father, right, of my son, I can't speak for other men or other households, but when it comes to being a father, I think the key things to remember is how have you dealt with your own demons and trauma, right, before you show up for your little person. And if you haven't, what have you done to try to build up something to where you can say, hey, Dominique, I got a therapy appointment and I got to get some stuff figured out. I'm going to bring Niall over there from 3 to 4. I'll be over there at 4 o'clock to pick him up. How have you opened yourself up to benefit from resources that are available to you? Because if you haven't, you're putting pressure on yourself to be someone you're not. And then also you are really robbing your kid, I think, of somebody that can be different because they're so stuck in the clouds. Your kid can't see who you really could be for them, right? So I think that's first, and then second, when it comes to relationships or whatever. I mean, if you're a single parent, I mean, it is what it is. But what have you been doing to just pour into you? Granted, when it comes to love, that's a whole other subject. Like, it'll show up how it shows up, but what have you done for you to make sure that you're not, um, or say, what have I done for me to make sure I'm not over um, um, allowing myself to just be accessible to everybody, right? Like, what am I doing to make sure that I got boundaries in place to be like, all right, cool. Like, this person, that's cool. But like, what are you doing to make sure that you're present and you're being you, right? In all these various situations, because you can lose yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think the funny phrase is "Don't lose yourself, my boy." Like that's why I'm always saying it now. Like, don't lose yourself. Like, where are you at right now? You sad? You mad? You hungry? You whatever? And those are the same questions you have to ask yourself. Because I mean, the funny thing about kids is that I know is they'll be honest. Like now, I will tell you in a minute. I'm hungry, or I'm mad when you took my toy, and that's why I was yelling and screaming. versus like someone who is older who might have pride and don't want to say what's going on and want to hold it in. That affects the relationship with your kid, maybe your spouse or whoever your person is.
Do
So
you sometimes, like when that happens, like when Niall is saying, "I'm mad at you because you took my toy," do you come back and say, "Well, I took your toy because blah 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 blah," so he
yeah,
can
yeah,
understand?
I can't. Well, I mean, in those situations, I'm like, depending on what it is, it's more so like, hey, like, okay, you can understand that. Let's have a conversation. Or if his emotions just too high, I'm like, hey, take a moment, man. If you need to go to your room, like he has a punching bag that he be demolishing. He be beating the shit out that punching bag. I be like, who you be talking? Cause he be like, boom, 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 slamming it. But I got it for that purpose. But when his emotions are, he can talk now. He's done throwing the punching bag all around his room. Um, he's able to talk through what's going on, or able to just kind of mellow. Or sometimes he just you want some candy, you want a little piece of candy, man. You all right? You know what I'm saying? Just to get regulated. So it just takes that time to just first me having to not want to just slam the mess out of him, but remember that he is still a person, and while like he's growing up into making his own decisions, it's not for me to make decisions for him, but understand that with every choice comes a consequence. So this was the consequence of why I took your toy because you was bugging the fuck out. No, just
Yeah, I mean, it's like that. Really trying to create a space for a kid to have the emotional intelligence,
mm-hmm.
because so many of us lack that, and if later down the line
Like seriously, like think about that. Like
becomes a big deal.
grown ups who don't know how to articulate their emotions are trying to tell a kid how to articulate his or hers. Can't do
Yeah,
that. It ain't gonna work.
and I got a homegirl that has like two boys or whatever, and I was telling her, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh my God, just please teach them to just be kind to people."
Mm-hmm.
Like it sucks, but I was like, we need more kind human beings in the
Mm-hmm.
world, and like you said, they boys, they bad because they gave my dog some Cheerios, and I told him no, and I was like, I found I could feel myself because they're and here's the thing, we know kids
Mm-hmm.
do certain things with certain parents because they
Yeah.
know they can get away with it, but I
Yeah.
felt myself turning into our homeboy, and I said, I gotta go home because I'm turning into their daddy, and this not my kid. So I
Mm-hmm.
gotta go.
For real.
But you
For real.
know um I think that's something that's really, really cool and dope. Like a lot of where nowadays you're seeing people have those conversations. And what I do like from some of the posts that we see online when it comes to kids and parenting, it was like I'll never forget this clip where the kid was like acting out or whatever. It's a black kid,
Mm-hmm.
and the mom ends up like having that conversation like, okay, so take a deep breath, what is going on? And I'm very sorry, my dog is like up under me, uh
Awesome.
and won't let me be great, but look. But you
Mm-hmm.
like what's going on, and then you see this moment where this kid kind of just becomes somebody else because they're able to, well, I'm not going to say somebody else, but like being able to be their true self and really get off like what they're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and talking to their parent like an adult, like
Mm-hmm.
this makes me mad or this happened, and we don't see that enough. And sometimes I don't think what's bad about people posting certain stuff is because if I'm in a group and it's for like a candle business, right,
Yeah.
which I am, and you're able to go into the chat or make a post
Mm-hmm.
saying, hey, this is what's happening to my candle, can anybody give me some insight?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing when it comes to our kids. And so community should be such like on a bigger scale than what we know it as because of that. Like somebody might be able to say, hey, I noticed in this clip that your kid is doing this. Have they been tested for this? Have they been tested for autism? Have they been tested for ADD?
Mm-hmm.
Because like that was one of the things that happened, like even in like one of the videos that Summer Walker put up. It was like some way that her kid was responding to the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, you might get your child tested
Mm-hmm.
because that's one of the
Yeah.
key things that comes into play. And aut- aut- autism or like ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
or ADD or BD, whatever disorder, that could be coming into play. I'm like, we are shedding light, or honing in more, like you said earlier, because we know that there are so many variables and factors that could be, like working against our kid. Because, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
I got a good kid, but
Yep,
there's this other thing that keeps happening. So,
for
what is
sure.
that? So, you never know. Like something that never even crossed your mind, you'd be like, oh, shoot, maybe I.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's definitely pros and cons. And, you know, you're raising a good kid, and I hope you get breaks enough here and there.
Man, listen, for sure, for sure, for sure.
I'm
I
like,
think,
hopefully you got a break coming up soon.
hey, it's about mapping things out and really just being present, but then also understanding that as a child gets older, as my child gets older, there's not really a it's not really a timestamp on what he's not going to do anymore. It's just going to be more of new things, right?
Yeah,
So as now we're dealing with, he don't want to go to bed without all the lights on his room because he's scared of the dark. To being that, I don't know, he make getting bad grades, right? There's different things as every year comes up. So for me, again, just making sure that I'm doing what I have to do to keep myself grounded, sitting down, being quiet, right? Listening for things versus like speaking up for a lot of things. I've realized that more in my 41-year-old age, right? Just like I'm gonna just listen a lot more before I react because I want to hear everything before I'm like, okay, so this is what I heard you say, right? Um, because again, like you could pop off at any moment, but yelling ain't nothing but volume in your voice. That's it. That's all it is.
yeah,
And sometimes I forget that being 6'7", my son will look at me and it's like, let me bring it down a little bit because I'm get on your level because I know you're looking up at me. I'm like, oh my god, you know what I'm saying? So I just try to make sure I keep that in mind as I move in parenting, making sure that I'm moving in love, but then also moving in honesty. If I don't know the answer, I'm not gonna make one up
yeah. That
for sure.
is the factual thing. Is just like we don't have all the answers, Sway. Just
Yeah.
and being real with our kids, like honestly, like no, like
Tapped out.
and just being transparent because there's a lot of we're like you said, taking things a day at a time. I have like a lot of friends that are, new parents, friends that have multiple kids, and it really is like my friend was like, "Girl, I'll be going on YouTube. I'll be going on YouTube. I Google,
I Google things to do all the
as
time.
long as my kid not swallowing nothing or doing something weird, like I'm okay."
Listen, I Google things to do all the time with that young boy to be like, all right, what can we do? Let's figure some home stuff out. So, because just to keep him active. But again, that's a whole other story for another day as well. But
I
no,
mean,
I
he's
mean,
just at
yeah,
that age where at some point you'll put him in like sports or something or karate
I'm trying
where
to get
he
his
can
sports
get
down.
that
Trying
energy
now. I'm trying
out.
to get his sports now. I tried track, soccer. We tried MMA. Tried basketball. I'm gonna just keep it. MMA was actually that was he was. I was like, okay, we might have found something here.
Okay, so why he's okay now? Why you gotta hit people? Why is
Hey,
take that punching bag at his room?
get it out, man, because he was going to work. Wow, put him in a choke. I'm like,
Okay. I
yeah,
said kind to the world, kindness.
yeah. He kind to the world. He's mean to his punching bag. That's his punching bag. But you know what I'm saying? I haven't got any reports of him starting fights, of him like being aggressive. He always says please and thank you. There you
All
go.
right.
Yeah, now when he pop off, then I'm gonna have to be like, all right, bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take you back to the north side with me real quick to let you know it ain't going down like that.
Oh my God.
I'm just
Well,
teasing.
look, Doja, we appreciate you so much
For
for
sure.
popping in and being really so transparent about your journey,
For sure.
being a single dad, trying to, make sure you are creating, or raising, like a really, like decent human being. Because it really takes nothing to be a decent human being,
Yeah.
but like you said, it's a lot of listening. It's a lot of
Hmm.
listening and really empathizing and understanding and allowing your child that space to, like speak their feelings.
Hmm.
Like, I remember like being a kid and like you wanting to like say how you felt, but you knew you
Yeah.
could get popped.
Stay in the kid's place. Anybody ask you all that?
Nobody asked you all that. I do not care. You are not the adult,
Yep.
and you're
Yep.
like, but no, like I'm really just trying to and feeling like your voice was stifled a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, like
You're too
and
big for that. Why you doing that? Yeah. Definitely.
even now as an adult having conversations with people that get excited and talk over you, I'm like, hold on, let me finish, and then you can get that off.
There you go.
I'm like, we're having a healthy dialogue, especially if you're not arguing or somebody and somebody just trying to.
Listen, I've learned to have the most meaningful conversations by just practicing the stuff that I do with my son and just being like, just listening and just asking, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is what I heard you say. Like, seriously, like it
Yeah.
really helps. So, no, truthfully, I appreciate the roses. But like I said, man, I just taking it one day at a time. You know, pop up how I will.
Tell everybody where they can find you. You have a
Can't find me.
podcast.
Don't find me. I don't want you to find me. I'm cool where I'm at.
Okay, y'all. This is his ad on Instagram, right?
That's
That's
my
in
head
the.
on
I'll
Instagram
put it in the show notes as well if you
for
are
sure.
listening.
For
And
sure.
then he has a podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
See?
Well, yeah, me and Sleepy, we got a podcast. Check us out, man. I mean, it's it goes left and right all the time. Like it's just and the wrong stuff goes viral. I mean, boy, I just be like, how did this? Oh Lord, but no, me and Sleepy. For those Eric Dillard, put his
Yes.
name out, whatever. But like, just posted podcast. We've been doing it for about a year. So, you know what I'm saying? Just, two college guys just talking about, experiences in life, um, parenting, and just social issues, man. So, catch us on there. If you catch me on there, you know what I'm saying? I'm open to talk about whatever. So, yeah, mental health month as well. So, if you listen to this, man, find you something or find you someone to push your thoughts out.
Absolutely. Amen to that. And don't forget, guys, we have the candle, saint-angelus.com. We also have Everyone Needs an Aquarius podcast. It's with our boy Daryl Frierson. And we kick our shit about pop culture from the Aquarius standpoint. And you don't have to be an Aquarius to listen to it. It is just really hilarious. We don't really do horrors. We don't do horoscopes. Something might get thrown in there every once in a while, but no, it's not. It's not the atypical podcast that you think it is. It is literally a pop culture cast podcast. So we have a good time, and we talk our shit. And don't forget to subscribe to all of our YouTube pages. I'll also put that in the show notes, and as well as the link to the candles. Don't forget to use code Aquarius at checkout for a surprise discount over your purchase. Off of your purchase of $60 or more. And that's all I got for y'all this week. And we'll see y'all back here next week. Peace.